Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Regular board meeting of the Lammersville Unified School District Board of Education, Wednesday, August 7th, 2019. I call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Please note, this meeting is being live streamed and recorded, so if at this time you'd please silence your cell phones. And if you could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. President, we should do like a stage where we have like X's for people to stand.
Roll call.
Matthew Balzerini.
Here.
Colin Clements.
Here.
Ann Goodrich.
Here.
Sharon Lampel.
Here.
David Pombo.
Here.
Ruxar Mohammed.
Absent.
Approval and or corrections of the agenda?
There are none.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Clements, second by trustee Lampel. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Governing board reports. Trustee Goodrich.
So I haven't been doing too much, but I have been reviewing a lot of policy. There's some new policy that we're going to be bringing forward, and I've been reviewing that. So that's the main thing I've been doing.
Thank you. Trustee Clements.
I did have the honor of attending the welcome breakfast for the certified for the teachers on Monday and the classified employees on Tuesday. And that's the end of my report.
Trustee Pombo.
I attended the new hire lunch last week and the certificated breakfast, the classified breakfast, and the LTA luncheon. And if you're noting a theme here, it's that if you offer me food, I will show up. And that concludes my report.
Trustee Lampel.
This is going to shock Mr. Pombo. I have nothing.
I am shocked.
For my report, I will give some information to the board. Yesterday morning, I received a phone call from the district who informed me that CSBA contacted them to let them know that we're switching from Agenda Online 2.0. And we're switching to a new platform. Being from the board of directors for CSBA, you think that I would know, but I didn't. So I was so mad that I jumped in my car and I drove to Sacramento, calling the executive director on the way saying, I will be in your office. We need to sit down and have a talk with the director of IT. And I got brought up to speed, I think CSBA kind of got shoved in a corner. There's a lot of, as you know, bugs with the system. It's not working properly. The vendor could not come through and deliver, so they made the decision that they gave them 30 days notice. They're switching to a new system that's the Georgia School Boards Association's platform that they're adopting into. And they've been using it for years. So they gave me a demo, they showed me, it looks very user-friendly. So you can anticipate training, and staff will be having training over the next few weeks, and this goes live for us August 4th, is that right? I'm sorry, September 4th. Yes. So, yes.
Question?
Yeah.
Are there other states, other organizations using this system other than the state of Georgia?
There are two other states, I don't know off the top of my head what they are, but there are two other states that are using it. And it's also, Gamut will be included in that system. And supposed to be a lot more user-friendly. We can actually modify policies ourselves. And then once we modify it, it would go to CSBA and they can check over, make sure legally it's right. So there's options.
Well, having it
They're-
tied into Gamut will be a good thing.
I hope so, yeah. So
Yeah, that'll be great.
those have been my ongoing complaints with CSBA for years, so maybe I can move on to something else now. So that will conclude my report. Receiving a public comment, the board shall give members of the public an opportunity to address the board either before or during the board's consideration of each item. At a time so designated on the agenda, members of the public may also bring before the board matters that are not listed on the agenda of a regular meeting. The board may refer such a matter to the superintendent or designee or take it under advisement, but shall not take action at that time. The board may place the matter on an agenda of a subsequent meeting for discussion or action. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. I have 3 speaker cards. Stephanie?
Good evening, President Bazzarini, trustees, Dr. Nicholas, Alvina, and Noel. I'm sure you can guess what I'm going to be speaking about. I'd like to start by saying that I first contacted the board on June 15th, 2018, and requested that you consider moving 8th grade promotion to a different night than high school graduation. And I can speak with certainty that several of my other friends also emailed at that time because they told me so. And I received a reply from Dr. Nicholas that said it was a discussion item at a prior board meeting and that everybody had decided they were going to keep things the current practice and that the goal was to minimize the impact on families. I got a response from 2 board members, one who was insulted and the other one who just said, you know, that they had made the decision kind of thing. And then I emailed again on April 3rd, 2019 and asked for reconsideration for the 2019 high school graduation and promotion being moved. And I received a response from Matt, Dr. Nicholas, Pombo, and Thor. And the explanation ultimately from Thor given was that they were going to keep things the same way. It was too late to change, but they were going to find ways to assist families. And then I just recently emailed to follow up again on July 31st, 2019. Because I was following up because my 11-year-old daughter, if you recall, came and spoke to you. It was very hard for her to get up here and stand up and speak. It was very brave of her. She's asked me several times, does the board have anything to say about what I said? Are they doing something about it? And I have to look at her and say, no, they're not. Matt responded to my email. He's the only one that responded this time. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's a directive that, you know, Matt's agreed to be the spokesperson or what, but he said he would discuss it with Kirk when they did the agenda review. And then I was hoping that it would be on the agenda for this meeting, and it wasn't. And I just want to say, if you want to assist families, move the date of 8th grade promotion to a separate day. That's what they want. That's what their kids want. That's what my daughter wants. My daughter who's 11 and my daughter who's 15, that's what they want because it will affect them in a few years. That's how you can assist families because students should come first. So I don't understand why assisting families is the reason I keep getting when you should be looking at the students. And the students who are affected are people like my daughter who aren't going to get to have their full moment. And also, I don't understand why this hasn't been an agenda item because I know I'm not the only person that's speaking. And I don't mean to be a thorn in people's side, but like I said, I will be like Captain America. I will do this all day because it's that important to my children. And I know it's that important to many people in the community that are going to have the same situation. Thank you.
Lisa?
Good evening, school board members, Dr. Nicholas, and staff. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak tonight. Like Stephanie, I'm going to address the same topic, and that is the conflict of the high school graduation and 8th grade promotion being on the same nights. Now, these are 2 major events for our students, and this is why our school district exists. It's for the students. And having that conflict is challenging for families who have both an 8th grade student promoting and a high school student promoting. Those ceremonies are very close together, and it's a rush for them to get from one ceremony to the other. For those 8th grade students, they don't have the opportunity to stay behind after their ceremony, have photo opportunities with their friends or socialize with their friends. And for those high school students who have to be at their high school graduation, they either miss their siblings' graduate or promotion ceremony entirely or have to rush out so they can get ready for their own ceremony. And then if those high school students do arrive late or just in time for their ceremony, then they miss that pre-ceremony excitement with the rest of their classmates. So I do think it's important, not just for families that have siblings with this conflict, but also for friends of families. Mountain House is a very small community. Many families have friends with a high school graduating and an 8th grade graduating, and it's, again, hard to get to both of those ceremonies. So I think that our district has a problem, but I don't want to just complain about a problem. I have a couple potential solutions. One of those solutions is, first of all, just have a discussion at a board meeting. We haven't had this discussion in over a year, and you guys have heard from the community. It's been on Facebook. I know that's not an official method of communication, but I also know most of you read Facebook. You've had emails, people have come up here and talked, but we don't know from a community perspective why there's not a change. We have no idea. I'm sure there's logistical challenges, but until we have that discussion at a board meeting, we don't know why this conflict continues. My second proposal, and this would be my recommendation, but there are many ways to do this, is to have high school graduation on a Saturday, either late Saturday morning or early Saturday afternoon. And that solves a number of issues. First of all, it's generally not so windy during the daytime, and I know our wind can get pretty extreme in the evening for an evening ceremony. It's not quite as cold during the daytime, and I have heard some of those graduation ceremonies for the high school have been downright freezing. Families will get better photos because it's in the daytime, and again, we wouldn't have that conflict with 8th grade graduation. So I do thank you for your time, and I hope that you will consider some of my proposals or some alternates, at least to have a discussion at a board meeting. Thank you.
Julie?
All of you for your service, because I know that that is what you're doing for all of us. I come here as your target market. I am a born and raised Moho person. I've raised my son in this community, and this graduation thing will not affect me. I only have an only child. But I'm here because I want you to, I see a lot in our community that the school district doesn't understand the kind of community that you're serving. It's not a typical school district community. We're just not. We don't have Starbucks. We don't have a mall. We don't have a gas station. I know all my neighbors. I know their phone numbers. We exchange eggs and coffee. And so when Soraya graduates, and there's too many to count over here. Truthfully, there's two, but he was my neighbor at one time. We broke bread together. So I think you're missing the mark. It's not about Stephanie. It's not about Lisa. It's not about Julie. It's about this community. You're making it impossible for us to love and share in the joy of graduation. It's huge. It's the time when we cry. And I watched, my son graduated from 8th grade. How many of you know 8th graders that cry at their graduation? These kids have grown up together. They have big brothers and big sisters. This is the community that you're serving. We have nothing but one another. We go to Friday night football games, even when we don't have a child at the game. So I'm asking you to be aware of what you're serving. She posted on Facebook, we're not friends like that. We don't have coffee together, but we're community moms. And we'll do it till the end. We'll cry at graduation because we'll be there together. So again, I say thank you, but please know the community that you're serving.
Thank you for your comments. Any comments from the board?
I'll jump in. I would like to see this on a future agenda. I don't want to get into a long discussion tonight about opinions and possible solutions, but I would like to see an agenda item for us to talk this through.
I concur.
Just so the board knows, I did discuss this with Dr. Nicholas. What I asked for was to contact families that we accommodated this past graduation. Our goal was to treat families that had an 8th grader promoting and a high school graduate like VIPs with parking, front row seating, and we want to get some feedback so that we can include that in the discussion.
That outreach happened, but we haven't received the information back yet.
When it does, that's, my plan was to agendize it at that time, if that's okay with the board.
And I agree. I would just like to make a couple of comments. One is, this item has been an agenda item on numerous occasions. We've discussed it. I don't think we've come up with a perfect solution. I don't know that there is a perfect solution, but we've been working on it probably since shortly after the first high school graduation several years ago. And it's an issue. We're not going to make everyone happy. And I would like to see it on an agenda once we have that information so that we can use that in our discussion. One other thing that I would like to address that is silly, but I'm going to address it anyway, is everyone up here is part of this community. It's not like we beam in from somewhere else and we're these, people over. We're part of this community. I've had 2 children graduate from Mountain House High School. I know other people on the board have had graduates from Mountain House High School or other schools in Mountain House. I've lived in this district my entire life, and we're part of the community. I know people don't see that sometimes, but we're part of the community.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I think we've all lived here for between 14 and 15 years, all of us.
Or
More. Anyway, yeah, we're definitely part of the community. And there are other factors that are involved that, when it comes back as a discussion. There's a financial piece of it that hasn't been discussed that is real. There's also a contractual piece with the union. They're not contracted to work on Saturday, and they are on Friday. So those are also pieces that we would have to work through and have to look at. But again, that'll come back as a discussion item. I want to make sure we have all the information and possibilities.
I'm glad that we're going to put it on the agenda and have a discussion, and it may be somewhat self-serving, but I would say that if my recollection was that I had spoken with individuals in the community, if I did not respond in an email, and so if my actions were perceived as a lack of responsiveness, then I apologize.
And 2, if I may to further address that, the board president is the spokesman for the board. So once the rest of us see a response from the board president, typically we feel that further response is unnecessary.
And that was an agreement made by this board a long, long time ago. Okay, moving on, consent items for consideration. Item A, governing board meeting minutes from the regular meeting on July 17th. Item B, approval of warrant list from July 2nd to July 30th, 2019. Item C, ratification of the 2019-2020 new hires. Item D, ratification of resignations. Item E, ratification of retirements. Item F, updated 2019-2020 fundraisers. Any discussion? We can remove any item for discussion or vote as a whole.
Mr. President, we did have an interesting technological glitch with Agenda Online. Refreshing error caused a name to repeat itself. We've communicated that, but we want to say it publicly that the name Madeline was repeated twice, and the name Marcy McCordy should have been the official name, not Madeline. So,
Okay, thank you.
I'll move for approval of consent items as presented.
Second.
A motion by trustee Lampel, second by trustee Goodrich. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
So I would like to welcome the following people to our Lammersville family. Bradley Clark, chemistry teacher. Marcy McCordy, program specialist. Madeline McReynolds, special education teacher. And Kayla Nast, self-contained classroom teacher. I would also like to congratulate, I'm on the wrong item here, Rosemary Boynton on her retirement as a library technician after 38 years and 10 months.
Yes, Rose Boynton has been an institution in the Lammersville School District since way before Mountain House was even a dream of anybody's. So congratulate her on her retirement and wish her well.
Thank you. District Administrator reports, item A, Superintendent's report.
Yeah, I just have a brief picture representation of today's first day of school. I want to thank all of the staff across the district. First day of school is always a joy. To add to the joy of today, our reporting attendance system statewide went down, and so it was a bit of a scramble. But we have some nice pictures. That was Wickland, Cuesta this morning, Bethany, Lammersville, Altamont, Hanson, and Mountain House High School. And then we had a special training called Crisis Prevention Intervention, which is a way to deal with an aggressive assault without injuring the parties involved. Mr. Yeager was demonstrating that there, his athletic prowess. Ben said something inappropriate to Corinne Pacheco, and she's taken him down. 6'10" or aside. But anyways, our staff are training in the best of techniques to deal with things. And then we had an amazing professional development. That is all of our certificated staff. We're too big to be in any room other than the biggest one in the district. So Professional Learning Communities is a culture-focused district-wide initiative which will exercise and express itself at each of our school sites. And it was an excellent day and a lot of enthusiasm. We also honored 5, 10, and 15-year employees. So it was a really good week for us, with the exception of the attendance thing. And we're very excited about what's to come. That's my report.
It was an evil joke of the calendar to have a board meeting on the first day of school. We opened our schools yesterday, and I know how exhausted I was last night, so I applaud all of you for still standing.
Item B, District Maintenance and Operations Report. Mr. LeGrand.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. School started today very smoothly for my department. We had a couple little hiccups, nothing major. I just want to give credit and thanks to all my staff for all their hard work over the summer. We were shorthanded from the get-go, and we got through it, and the kids came, and you saw from the pictures, everything's good, and we're ready to go. I was at the DO construction meeting this morning. Hopefully you're able to drive by Chorus and see the progress out there. So you see the shape of some buildings. We conducted custodial interviews last week for the high school to fill those 2 openings. We have more interviews scheduled for next week to fill the other openings in the district. I was at the classified breakfast, certified breakfast, the new hire luncheon, as some of you guys were. The things we're working on now are the user groups. We did all the fall permits for the fields. That part is done. We're working on the gyms and the multipurposes now. It's very, very crowded, a lot of requests. I have everything, I think, organized, and I'll review it with Thor tomorrow in our one-on-one. There might be some happy people, because there just isn't a lot of gym time and multi-purpose room time in the fall. Everything's really packed. We have Science Olympiad, and schools are doing performances, and they're locking down the facility, so there may not be as much space available there has been in the past. And that's all I have. Oh, I'm excited to announce tomorrow the power is getting cut at the warehouse, and demolition will start on Friday. So if you get a chance, swing by next week and say goodbye to the bus barn. That's all I have. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board? No. Thanks for all the hard work, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Moving on to action items. Item A, consider approval of the agreement for the provision of San Joaquin Outdoor School Program for the 2019-2020 school year. Staff report.
Yeah, this is Science Camp. It's a great traditional program, and we strongly recommend it.
Move to approve the agreement for the provision of the San Joaquin Outdoor School Program for the 2019-2020 school year.
Second?
We have a motion by trustee Clement, second by trustee Pombo. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B, consider approval of revised certificated unrepresented job description, special education program specialist. Staff report.
Yeah, this is an old job description that we updated. It was limiting the pool of candidates so we could hire. We have expanded the credentials that would be acceptable under this so we can hire folks to our district.
Any discussion by the board?
Move for approval of revised certificated unrepresented job description, special education program specialist.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Lampel, second by trustee Goodrich. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item D, consider approval of legal services agreement 1, General Counsel Lozano Smith. Oh, sorry, thank you, I skipped one. Back up to item C. Item C, consider approval of Governing Board Resolution 1920-02, declaring intention to reimburse expenditures from the proceeds of obligation to be issued by the district and directing certain actions. Staff report.
So A and B, neighborhood A and B, and the journey to get a school built there, it's coming together in a different form and function. There are multiple builders and multiple developers and multiple properties that haven't turned over to a developer. So this provision would allow us, as if a bill were to be incurred by the district, to be reimbursed once the CFD is formed and the normal fee process starts to roll in. So we recommend that, so in case we have to spend some money, we can get it back.
Move to approve Governing Board Resolution 1920-02, declaring intention to reimburse expenditures from the proceeds of obligations to be issued by the district and directing certain actions.
Second.
A motion by trustee Pombo, second by trustee Clements. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Roll call.
Matthew Balzerini.
Aye.
Colin Clements.
Aye.
Ann Goodrich.
Aye.
Sharon Lampel.
Aye.
David Pombo.
Aye.
Now, item D, consider approval of legal services agreements. 1, General Counsel Lozano Smith. 2, Special Education Counsel Fagan, Friedman, and Full Frost, LLP. Any further information on that?
Other than we hope we don't have to use them very much.
Move to approve legal services agreements with Lozano Smith and Fagan Friedman Full Frost LLP.
I'll second.
Motion by trustee Goodrich, second by trustee Lampel. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item E, consider approval of 2019-2020 board committee assignments. I will give the report. I'm trying to get us organized, make sure we have ratifications. I took the input that each of you provided. I think most of you got what you were asking for those of you that did. Some of you didn't care, thank you. But I also identified the spokesperson for reporting out and then kind of the other board member as a backup. There will be 1 or 2 meetings, Kirk, with where we have to have only one person.
There's one meeting that will be shared with the DLAC and the Education Committee. That will be a shared LCAP meeting.
So from that, we can only have 1 committee member from each, or else we'll have a quorum. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
That bridge when we get to it.
Yeah.
Point of clarification, Mr. President. Is it that a board member cannot be there or they cannot speak?
You're right. They can be there, they cannot participate. That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess we could do that, because it's just committee, and it's going to be a report from staff only, right?
Correct. It's the final review of the LCAP, which I would predict you would also be seeing at a board meeting.
So it's an option also.
That's a hotly contested meeting with lots of comments.
Although some committees we don't, that would have to be Brown Act. We just have to post it, that's all. So that's fine.
So, Policy Committee.
Congratulations.
I'd like to ask if someone else can take that.
Uh,
That's a lot of work, and I don't have that kind of time.
Oh, I thought you'd be retiring, because I,
No, I'm not. I can't talk about
well, I mean, if you were going to.
No, I'm not retiring.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll do it.
Okay.
I'll continue to do it, because it's actually not that bad. We get them in good notice, but I'll do it.
Yeah,
Or
it's
unless
just-
anybody else
It's
want
hard
it?
to do that at work and here at the same time.
Sure. Anybody else want to do it?
I'll do it. If
Very good. If you get overloaded, let me know, and I can take it over, because it's not that bad. We get enough notice, or it's just reading stuff.
certain board members are going to have a lot on their plate in the very near future.
Okay, thank you.
Move to approve the 2019-2020 board committee assignments
Second.
With a correction.
As amended. Yes. Sorry.
as amended.
Second.
I'm sorry, who made the motion? I did. Okay, so, motion by trustee Pombo, second by trustee Clements. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And before I move on to information discussion items, do you have a report? Would you like to give a report? Okay.
Okay, first of all, sorry for being late. I was caught up in another class. Yeah, so today, as we all know, is the first day of school, and we had a welcome activity for the freshmen in the beginning of the day. So leadership did a little something for that. And today after school, we had food trucks for all the students, and we're also getting prepared for the rally tomorrow. We're having like a back to school birthday rally. And then Friday after school, all the clubs are going to have an opportunity to fundraise for the school year. So they're going to be selling food for the clubs. And yes, that's all.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Welcome back.
President,
Thank you.
will they be selling food to the public or just to other students?
Everyone. Yes.
And what time would that be on Friday?
That would be after school, so 1:30 till whenever.
Because you weren't here during my report, but
Uh-huh.
if there's food, I'll show up.
Yes.
Okay, information discussion items. Item A, French Camp McKinley Fire District Grand Jury Report. This document just came out. I wanted to make sure the board was aware of it. It does affect our district. The fire chief is here if anyone has any questions, or chief, if you had anything you would like to add. Okay. Good.
I did have a question. From reading the report, it sounds like the recommendation is that French can't be subsumed into another fire district. And I'm wondering how that would affect our community, or if it would affect our community.
So I was with Stockton for 27 years in that same talk with then and now. San Joaquin County has approximately 18 or 19 districts. And from scales of economy, in some cases it would make sense. But in the end, it comes down to what that community decides to do with their resources, whether they want to marry up with someone or stay independent. So it's kind of along those tracks. And personally, in a lot of cases, I think some things in San Joaquin County needs to happen. And French Camp could be one of them. And if that was to take place, as I understand it, Mountain House technically can do their own thing right now. Their choice right now is to contract out their services like they do currently with French Camp, and as they have done in the past with Tracy.
Okay.
So, but they're structurally set to, if they want to do their own thing now, they can.
Okay, so we could have our own fire district rather than contract if we wanted to.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that.
I'm sorry, I forgot. I apologize. You're the interim
Yes.
chief, right? And I'm sorry, your name again?
Mario McArn. Mario McArn.
Thank you very much. I wanted to say thank you very much for coming here today. Obviously, the grand jury report was, well, maybe not obviously. The grand jury report was a surprise to me. And I did read it with great interest. I want to thank you for your efforts because the report did indicate that you're making changes. So thank you for your service. Thank you for sticking with it. And as I understand it, I trust the CSD board to do their job. It's all I can do to help this board do its job. But as I understand it, the fire department does report into the CSD on a regular basis, maybe monthly, with metrics. And as I understand it, the metrics of the fire department in this community have all met or exceeded the standards. I don't even know what those are. But is that
Yes.
true?
It's a bi-monthly report, but we communicate regularly. But it's a bi-monthly report. I give them a monthly report, but I attend bi-monthly. We rotate with law. But yes, we're currently meeting all the requirements and standards. Each community is unique, and what their demographics and threat hazard and things like that, they have to build and address them accordingly. You can't take, like, I come from Stockton, 27 years. I can't take that model and stick it into French Camp no more than I can apply it here. You have to assess each community on its own merit and build or respond to the system accordingly.
And how much money you have.
Yes, that plays a big factor. Hillsborough, I believe, over in the Bay Area, they have deep pockets. They can get whatever they want and how much staffing they want.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you. Appreciate you being here, Chief.
Could I address a different topic? Remember, you and I spoke about October Fire Safety Month? Assistant Superintendent Sherburne's sitting right there. She's the person to talk to.
Perfect. We have a card. I have an individual that's working on that. He's ramping up.
Okay.
We have, I think, some good ideas about how to proceed with that. Did coloring contest in the past among all the schools, and that was a huge undertaking in Stockton. Here, we could change it a little, and we can have an internal or have each school compete in a different manner. But we've been discussing some different ideas about how to proceed and go forward. But also a component of that is us getting out to the schools and meeting with the children in some type of presentation format so we can touch bases with them.
I think that's great. You and I had discussed how we missed it last year, and there was a fire pretty close today, right on 120.
Yeah.
Pretty big one. I drove through it. So, yeah, I look forward to what you guys can do with our kids.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I'm on our safety committee. I appreciate, your folks always show up and help us out, especially we start talking about tabletop scenarios and things like that, and they really participate. So much appreciated on that. We really want to try and get CERT up and running.
Yes.
It's been a stumbling
We've
block.
ramped that up significantly
Good.
in the last couple of months.
Very good. All right. Thank you, Chief. Item B, closed session release of probationary classified employees. Staff report.
So staff was asked to investigate a procedure that was been longstanding in the district in the case of a classified staff member who's probationary who's released. So we contacted our attorney and asked, what is the legal requirement and is our practice meet that? And the answer was, we are meeting and exceeding the legal standard, and that is, it is not a requirement by law to do the final step in closed session. We could do it differently. And so they originally had recommended that to give us the most conservative means to address a letting go of an employee. But we could choose as a district to change the practice and go a different route.
So for discussion by the board, we need to come up with some consensus if we're going to continue the current practice or change it.
As a school district HR professional, I highly recommend changing it for us to not take action in closed session and leave it up to staff.
And I believe that's the staff recommendation, correct?
Yes, I support the staff recommendation.
Correct.
I'm good with the staff recommendation.
I concur.
Okay. Consensus.
Yes, thank you.
Item C, board self-evaluation for the 2018-2019 school year. In reviewing the bylaws, I discovered this is a requirement of the board that we have to do. We completed it. We can check that box. We've included it in the packet. Overall, it looks like we're doing pretty good. Anyone have anything specific they'd like to discuss or bring up at this time?
I really like the ability to look at everyone's scores without names to see where, how close and how far and which items stood out and which didn't. I really like that process.
Yeah, and I like trying to figure out which column belongs to who.
Anything further from staff?
None.
Anything further from the board? No? Okay. Item D, Facilities Committee Community Member Term. I asked for this to be placed on the agenda. In working with the committee assignments, I wanted to review this. We've had a pretty loose practice. I'm just trying to clean it up. I kind of mentioned to the board before an idea about making a 2-year term. I heard some disagreement with that, but I wanted to confirm with the board that we're going to move in that direction before I try and memorialize that in policy. So I want to have a discussion now if anyone has any problems with the facility committee community members having a 2-year term.
Oh, community members.
Community members.
Oh, I thought, okay, all right.
I don't object to the 2-year term. I was curious, in the past, it's been a little loose about how people got assigned. Will we put out for applications, or how will we do that?
Yeah, that was gonna be my recommendation of the board is, ask for applications, we'll have the district put it out, receive applications, and then it'd be appointment by the president with ratification from the board. And I wanted to mention that the term, there's no term limits. So if nobody applies and the current person wants to keep doing it, they could.
That was going to
That
be
was,
my,
that was how I was gonna write
my
it.
recommendation, was that we leave it open-ended enough so that we don't kick someone off the committee that wants to continue when we don't have a replacement.
The only question that I would have on community member 2-year terms would be, would that potentially, somebody's like, well, I can make a 1-year commitment, but if it's too much, I don't want to make a commitment that I can't live up to. Would that be more of a bite than the community is willing to?
Indentured servitude is illegal.
Well, I think that anyone, including a board member, can step off of a committee if,
But what I'm saying
they
is
need
that,
to.
I put in my paperwork to run for the board. I feel like I have a moral obligation to stay on. Now, granted, if there's extenuating circumstances, like whatever, but if it's at all possible, but if the board, the minority gets their say, and the majority gets.
Well, I mean, if someone went on and thought it was too big of a commitment, they could always
making it
go off and we can find somebody else to finish their term.
And if nobody steps up and one person says, well, I'll make a 1-year commitment, we could accept that as well, right? Yeah, okay.
I like the 2-year term, because at the end of a year, a person's really up and running and understanding policies that affect that committee.
Don't get me wrong, I like it, and I like having half of it, just like this board is, it looks like all elected boards are.
Yeah.
Half and half, or as close to half and half as you can get.
Yeah, so we'll have a new person every year and a carryover from the year before, which I would like to see with the committees for the board is, if we can kind of shuffle it up, but have one person.
Experience.
Yeah, and they stay on and they can be the point person. That's the process we use at CSBA. That was why I was recommended to do it here. It seems to work well.
Makes a lot of sense.
Great, okay, thank you. Moving on to calendar, Wednesday, August 21st, 2019 is our next board meeting. In a moment, we're going to adjourn to closed session where we're going to discuss item A, public employee discipline dismissal release complaint. Item B, student discipline and other confidential matters, Education Code Section 35146. One item, consider approval of staff recommendation for student readmission after expulsion, student number 181903 for the 2019-2020 school year. And item C, conference with real property negotiators, property of 397 East Ramsey Drive in Mountain House, agency negotiators, Superintendent Nicholas, agency parties, Mountain House developers, Camilo's, Trimark, Shea Homes, negotiating price, terms, payments, or both. And item D, public employee appointment, employment, evaluation, superintendent. I'll never get that right. Is there a motion?
Move to adjourn to closed session.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Pombo, a second by trustee Clements. I guess I gotta slow down. Second by trustee Clements, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're now adjourned to closed session.
We have to adjourn to closed session so that trustee. Well, I don't like to stand right here because then it's like I'm blocking the.
David?
Here we go. Okay, reconvening open session at 8:42. Reporting out, closed session item B, student discipline and other confidential matters, Education Code Section 35146 and 48912B. The board took action on a motion by trustee Clements and seconded by trustee Lampel to approve staff recommendation of student readmission after expulsion of student number 18-19-03 for the 2019-2020 school year by the following vote, 5 ayes. Is there a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Adjourned.